Hello and welcome back to the channel. It seems like it's been forever, and honestly it has. I threw my back out and pretty much spent a month staring at my ceiling, but gave me time to think about new YouTubes I wanted to create. This isn't one of them. I had this thought long before I went down for the count. Today what I want to do is I want to try out this Orto 50 ISO film. It's supposed to be contrasty and not be able to see red. So on the grayscale, being as a black and white film, supposedly red and black will look the same. I used to shoot quite a bit of film at ISO 50 back when Fujifilm was still making theirs. And when they stopped, it really wasn't that big of a deal for me because these older Hasselblads will allow you to shoot digitally at 50 ISO. So it was no big deal because, you know, as long as I could shoot at 50, I was happy. The only problem, of course, with shooting digital all the time is you get a file that is kind of boring, and you always have to then do something in post to make it a little more interesting. So if you want to contrast it, you have to add your own contrast. Where with film, the reason that I love shooting with film is you kind of start with some limitations already. Now, not knowing what this film's going to do, obviously that's a problem, but once you kind of figure it out, you play to those limitations and you get, I think, more interesting pictures. Today we're going to be shooting, we're going to go kind of simple. This is my H5X, and on the front I actually have a V-series lens. This is a 120 millimeter lens. Right now I've got the digital back on it. This is a 60 megapixel digital back. But what's great is that, again, I can switch this back out for a film back, and this is a 645 film back. So when I put this on here, in essence what I have is I have an old vintage lens, a new camera body in between, and then a 645 Hasselblad film in the back, and yeah, should be good. What's nice about it is I should be able to compare this digital image to what I get out of this, and they should be fairly close. This produces a 3x4 image, and like I say, this is gonna be 645. So that's it. We're gonna go out and see what happens. I'm really hoping and looking forward to this because hopefully I can get a new film that will be some fun to shoot, whether it's in this format or in 35 millimeter format. So I think we're gonna set up here and try to get a couple of pictures of people riding bicycles. Hopefully they're coming towards us, but if they're going the other way, that's okay too. Gonna do a simple meter here, kind of get a number. It says F8 250, maybe 500. Let's see. Let's go. Yeah, F8 250. So we're gonna give that a shot. So my hope here is that this checkerboard pattern of the fence and then the whiteness down there will create some interest and some contrast, and we should get an interesting composition. But like I say, mainly what I'm looking at here is the contrast. So composition's a little bit, doesn't care quite as much, but I'm hoping that this will should be something interesting. that's going to do it at this location. We're going to head off, get to the next one. We actually have some great clouds over there, so hopefully we can get to the next place before we lose them. So our next stop is just down the street a ways at the Bossa Chica. So hopefully those clouds stick around for us. We're about probably 10 minutes away, and it'd be great if they're still there. And this is why it's hard to beat California for weather. It's the middle of winter and we have 60 degrees and sun. Just hard to beat. The Bossa Chica is a bird sanctuary covering 1,400 acres, but really we're just interested in the entrance. So the idea here is pretty simple. There's a walkway here that is dark. Sky is now kind of a baby blue, and we've got some water on both sides. So I think if I set up about here, we hopefully get some contrast all the way through, and we get a nice composition if I can get it with no people. So I think that's what we're gonna try. So what I really want to do is get this angle so you can see here's this bracing sidewall and the flat part. I want to stay away from that sign if possible. That's kind of butt ugly. Question is, where do I want to put the focus? It says pedestrians only right here. I don't get, unless I bring this down, I don't get all the words. I might just go like so. Get the pedestrians. Bring that in the focus. Now that's yellow. I'm going to have to put this on a little bit of a time delay, because otherwise you'll see me standing right in the picture, which sometimes I don't mind, but in this case that isn't really the look I'm going for. So I think the plan here is we've got some contrast with the blue. We've got this grass, which is not really green, it's multicolor. Then of course the sky, and we're gonna see what we can do here. I do like, actually I kind of like it. The only problem always is you're seeing the traffic in the background, but yeah. I like the little line of grass here. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. Obviously, I'm not a fast shooter. I'm kind of slow and deliberate. And if I weren't mainly interested in how the film is reacting, I might even be slower. Still 250 f8. Because I'd probably be spending more time on composition. So our next stop is going to be just a few miles down the road. There's a building down here that I think, especially in this light, is going to be fantastic. It is an old supper club, and there's been a building there since the 20s. It's quite a cool cool old building. So we're gonna try that, and then we'll see how the light's doing after that, because it's now coming up on 4, and that means about an hour and 20 minutes and it will be dark. There's been a restaurant on this site since the 1920s. Here's a picture, probably from the 60s. It's amazing how little it's actually changed. Just more derelict. Well, that's going to do it for this location. Could have spent a whole lot longer here. And there's an old air conditioner even in the hall. That could be cool. And some signs. Yeah, but I'd like to get one more spot down the road. The light is fantastic. And I'm hoping that it's going to be great. So if I thought this was going to be a great location, it's apparently down this way just a bit. I've wanted to go visit this spot, not so much because of photography, but because there's a historic plaque. Nothing exciting, but when I started looking at it on Google, I started thinking I could shoot across the water, the sun coming, and there's a lot of Navy activity, little islands and that kind of thing that they built, or little sheds and stuff. And I was thinking maybe that would be of some interest, but now I'm thinking it might be the wrong angle. Well, all we can do is go there and find out. And this is why it's always hard to tell what's going to happen from Google Earth or Google Maps. Doesn't look at all like I had thought. On Google Earth, I didn't notice the fence. So note to self, in the future, always look at the street view. Obviously, this is a bust from a picture taking standpoint. The reason I am here is actually for this sign. A little piece of forgotten history. So back in the day, there would have been absolutely nothing in this area, and a shipping company decided this would be the great place for a port to supply all the small villages in the area. So in the 1950s, this would have been a buzz of activity. Day 2 and just a few more frames remaining. So let's see what we can get here. I stopped off at the marina to see if I could get a quick shot or two. I didn't really see anything special. All right, we are off to a spot, last stop for this trip, and not even sure that I'm going to be able to get to the spot I want to take the picture. It was a liquor store. When I was past it about a month ago, the liquor store had closed, but the building was, I thought, kind of interesting. And from a contrast standpoint, I thought it was going to work really well. So we shall see what happens down there, because they did have it fenced off, and I'm not 100% positive I'll be able to park anywhere near it. Right over here, if I can turn around, start parking there, yes. Okay, so what I'm hoping to do is get a little backlit. Sun is coming, it's a little harder than it used to be, so that's nice. And maybe we can get one here, get one from the other side. Okay, here we go. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Give this a try. Well, that's it. I'm thinking for a super contrasty film, this worked out pretty good, and I can see that I might use it in the future. However, it is pretty contrasty, and I see it more as a specialty usage than something I can use quite often. But if you got the right application, I think it's an interesting film.